William Dudley Gregorie will run for re-election for Charleston City Council. In this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups, I speak exclusively with him one-on-one. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores.
Councilman Gregorie.
Hey, how are you? It's been a while.
A long time. I guess what, 2 years?
Yeah, mayor's race,
right?
Council race.
Right.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Catch me up and tell me what's going on with you.
Life's incredible. I've been pretty busy working on the Mother Emanuel commemoration back in June, and trying to get a memorial built, trying to get property from the city so that we can do our exhibits, because we got over 6,000 pieces of memorabilia. So the church has had me pretty busy.
And another thing that's keeping you busy is Charleston City Council.
Unbelievably so.
And there was a lot of items on the agenda last night, from the James Island apartment moratorium to the resolution about the incident in Charlottesville to Dean Regal.
Yes.
I'm wondering, what sticks out in your mind when you look back at that meeting?
I thought that the moratorium on James Island, at least for me, since I represent parts of the island,
Right.
was probably one of the most important pieces on the agenda. Because I think that without a moratorium, where we step back and sort of look at things, we would just continue to have development proliferate, not pay the kinds of attention necessary to the drainage issues on the island, the density on the island. So for me, the moratorium was the most important thing on the agenda for me last night, to make sure that the constituents that I represent, it's clear that the council members that represent the island are serious about assuring that our constituents get what they want and that their island continue to be safe and livable. And I think without this kind of attention, we may be headed in the wrong direction.
What is the future of James Island in your mind?
I do see growth occurring on the island, just as I see growth occurring in our entire city. We are one Charleston, but I like the mayor's explanation of the distinction between the certain parts of one Charleston, and James Island is certainly one of those areas. Mm-hmm. And for me right now, while I represent downtown as well as James Island, I have a dual focus on both. The one commonality, not just for the peninsula and James Island, it's the water. Mm. It's all about the water. And there is a correlation between development, the clearing of trees, and the flooding that occurs as a result of it. So for me, I think it's very, very important that we pay attention to the water. I think it was Quintin, when they were running, coined the phrase, "Is the economy stupid?" Well, in Charleston, it's the water stupid. And if we do not take hold of assuring that this city is protected, 20, 25 years, we will be underwater.
Let me take you back to Charlottesville, because obviously, as you know, Charleston City Mayor John Tecklenburg actually read a resolution basically saying, hey, we don't want any racism or any issues here in Charleston. And now you have a lot of civil rights activists in this particular city saying, hey, take those Confederate monuments down. Where do you stand when you hear that?
I applaud them because I do believe that many of those monuments really don't represent the truth. The Confederates lost the wall. And many of those statues came up during the 60s, during the Civil Rights Movement. They had not been there that long. And I think that they were put there as a symbol of supremacy, of which we all know is a myth. But however, racism is not a myth. And I do think that racism is institutionalized and is systemic. And those statutes represent something that's not, I think, should be a part of our country, because it represents an era where people were enslaved. It represents anti-humanism, as far as I'm concerned. So I applaud the people who are now seeming to join the movement to pull many of those statues down.
Let me stay on Charleston City Council. As you know, another hot topic is Dean Regal.
Yes.
Whether he should stay or go, unfortunately, because of his current issues that are going on with his family.
Yes.
When you think of Dean Regal, what plays in your mind?
Dean Regal is, I think, an asset to our council. I think all 13 of us, and by 13 I'm including the mayor,
Right.
bring unique perspectives to our council. It provides the kind of diversity that I think is healthy for a council, and not just in terms of racial diversity, but diversity in ideas. And I think Regal brings that kind of flavor, along with all the other council members, to the table. Dean and I may not necessarily agree on a lot of things, but I don't agree with many things, many of the council members.
Okay.
And I don't think that when we don't agree, that we should be holding that. We should let that go and move on to the next item on the agenda, so to speak. So I do think that Regal brings something to the table. However, I do think that when he moved, based upon the law, he did forfeit his seat. And unfortunately, most council members were really not aware of it until it hit the paper. I do wish that he had come to us a little earlier with first his circumstances, and then to let us know that he had not relocated, but temporarily moved for financial reasons. But I thought that council treated it very well last night. We did not vote to have a public hearing. There is an election within the next 180 days.
Right.
And even if we had a public hearing and we had voted negatively toward him, he would still be able to serve out his term. So it was all moot as far as I was concerned. Let's let the voters of the district that he represents determine his fate. I don't think that that should be left up to council. It should be left up to the electorate. So I was very happy the way things went last night.
You talk about election. Obviously, you're one of the people up for re-election as well.
Yes, seems like I've been running for election every year of my life back home. Yes, I'm running again for re-election. I'm excited about it. I think it's very, very important for continuity alone that we, meaning the city of Charleston, keep as many of the existing council members as we can. And I say that because with them is an unbelievable amount of history. History in terms of legislation, what the intent of the legislation has been, the history of their community and what the needs are in those communities, and the number of things that we have on the books that may not have come to fruition yet, I think it's important, especially things like the moratorium on James Island. I just don't think that it's time for us to change horses right now. There are too many important things going on, and the incumbents carry that history. And I think that all of our council members have been doing an unbelievable job representing their constituents. And I just want one more time, okay, to be able to represent this district and to at least put in place some things that will be helpful to the district beyond my years.
You talk about moratorium. Do you foresee a moratorium on hotels in downtown Charleston in your mind?
No. I mean, that's come before council before.
Right.
I do think that the marketplace will take care of itself.
Okay.
If there are too many hotels in the city, they'll stop building them because they're not making any money. So I just think that it's just simple economics. I don't think that we should give businesses the impression that we're not open for business. And sometimes moratoriums, especially moratoriums like hotel moratoriums, tell developers we're not open for business. So what they do is they take their business somewhere else. And the somewhere else may be Mount Pleasant, North Charleston, which will put more cars on the road because they're still going to come downtown. So to me, as a city, we do need to manage growth. We have to have smart growth. And I don't think right now a moratorium is the way to go with respect to hotels. Even if you did a moratorium, there's still many hotels that are in the pipeline that are going to come up. People think that when you do a moratorium, that really means that everything stops. It doesn't. Okay? Even the moratorium on James Island.
Right.
Okay? There'll still be building. There'll still be building of some apartments on the island. But what a moratorium will do is for any future applicants that come forward, that the city would be looking at very differently. But we have to do something with the development on James Island in particular, especially some of our zoning laws, especially our general business, allows some developers to build hundreds and hundreds of units. And therefore we need to look at that zoning to determine whether or not it would require change so that we don't have an overabundance of apartment complexes in traditional neighborhoods.
You talk about one more time as far as renting. What is the future for William Dudley Gregorie?
For me, I don't think I'll ever stop, but I do want to travel the world and to really give myself some time for me.
Okay.
But when I talk about running again, I'm doing it because it's bigger than me. It goes beyond me. And as long as I have a choice to be able to make positive contributions to our city and to my constituents, I think I have an obligation to do that, in spite of what I might want to do, because it's bigger than me.
I understand that. Well, William Dudley Gregorie, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate this.
Oh, thank you. It's always a pleasure.
Likewise.
Okay.
Likewise. Yeah.
You take care now.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.